911, what's your emergency?
You have to help us. He's bleeding. Oh my God, Sam!
Miss, please calm down. Please state the nature of your emergency.
There's been a crash. They're hurt. You have to help them.
We're dispatching units to your location. Please stay on the line until they arrive.
In a world where regrets are common,
I was ignorant to a lot of little things that nearly cost me my life.
I was scared with a lot of emotions running through me.
When I tell people I'm a survivor, they need to know what made it possible.
Welcome to the Dr. Vine Show, a podcast for people of all ages, highlighting and discussing health and well-being in grand style.
You want some truth? A fortune as much as an unarmed truth is a voice of reason. Let me share something serious with you that is no joke. I saw an article by the World Health Organization from 2008 which said that around 40% of the general population aged 25 and above suffer from high blood pressure. That was 10 years ago, and that percentage has definitely increased with the newly recommended guidelines for diagnosing high blood pressure, otherwise known as hypertension. The serial killer you assume is causing destruction far away is actually closer to you than you think. In the United States alone, 1 of every 3 adults, or about 75 million people, have high blood pressure, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Globally, hypertension causes more death than road traffic accidents. Let that sink in. You want to know the surprising part? Only half of the people with high blood pressure know they have it. That's not it all. Only about half of those aware of it have received treatment. And of this treated category, only half of them were considered adequately treated. Now you may ask, what is all the fuse about high blood pressure? Talk about a wildfire. It not only burns and destroys, it keeps on increasing and spreading. That is how deadly hypertension is. There is a reason it has been called the silent killer. With catastrophic effects like heart, kidney failures, stroke, mental disorientation, and blindness, it's easy to see why undiagnosed and untreated high blood pressure is a cause for concern. Destruction like a wildfire. In November 2017, the American College of Cardiology and the American Heart Association introduced new guidelines for diagnosing high blood pressure. And with these, the number of persons with this condition has tremendously increased. The previous guideline considered high blood pressure to be equal to or greater than 140 by 90 mm of mercury. But the recently introduced guideline now defines high blood pressure as 130 by 80 mm of mercury or more. Now, do you understand why high blood pressure should not be overlooked? It's ironic that some of our habits play a role in all of this. On record, the World Health Organization mentions that more than 9 million persons die each year from high blood pressure. Do you know what is going to happen tomorrow? Me neither. On this episode, you're going to find out the causes of high blood pressure, how to identify if you have one, and secrets to effectively combat this deadly monster. We have with us on this episode one of India's distinguished cardiologists and a hypertension expert, Dr. Jesu Krupa, who will shed more light on how to tackle hypertension and its prevention. And that's not all. You'll get the latest health news from across the globe right to your doorstep in the Doctor's Report segment. I have your shoutouts and well wishes for friends and family right after that. And no health discussion is complete without a discharge summary. It costs you zero amount of money to hear this, but you stand to gain a lot by just listening. For the perfectly healthy listening, do you know that stress has a connection to hypertension? Ponder on that a bit and I'll get back to you shortly.
DICU. Listen to the health topics discussed intensively. The very important topics dissected into details. Get informed, stay informed.
My name is Sonia Oji. a 34-year-old trader. I've been married for 5 years now. I get up every day at 4 a.m. and open my shop from 7 a.m. in the morning till 9 p.m. every day, except on Sundays, so I can feed my family. My husband is a bus driver. 8 months ago, I was feeling sick, and so I visited a hospital where the doctor told me that I was 2 months pregnant. I was so happy because me and my husband have been trying for a second child. I decided to work harder so as to raise more money to buy things for my unborn child. I was regular with my antenatal checkups and working hard on my business in between my appointments. 6 months into pregnancy, the doctor told me on one of my checkups that I was hypertensive and I needed to take treatment for it while quitting my business for some time. I tried, but I didn't like the idea of doing nothing, so I went back to my business. I developed several side effects from the hypertension drugs I was taking, and so I decided to stop them. My pregnancy went normal until I went into labor, and the doctor said they had concerns about my health and the baby's health. They did their best, and I was able to put to bed. 2 days later, my precious baby died. The explanation I got from the doctors was that my high blood pressure affected my pregnancy and resulted in the death of my son. Up till now, I'm still grieving for my son's death. I only spent 2 days with my son.
Growing up in the mega city of Lagos, Nigeria, a city known for its hardship and struggles, it finally took its toll on Sonia's pregnancy. The tearful mother wanted to share her story with us. Someone I met recently said something that disturbed me for the rest of the day. Want to hear it? She said hypertension is not a worry for her because it is an old age disease and women are less likely to suffer it than men. She also mentioned how her salt intake in her cooked meals are usually within normal range. Another friend joined in the conversation, explaining how his dad passed away many years ago from hypertension and how he knows he's surely going to have it and die at a young age as well. Now I looked at him and wanted to stop him right there, but I wanted him to have the stage, and so I let him continue. He went ahead to narrate how he drinks as much red wine as possible every day because he wants to enjoy the remaining few years he has left. I called them closer and told them to listen carefully. The same thing I told them, I'm going to tell you right now, so listen carefully. Hypertension is not an old age disease anymore. The younger generations are now losing their life as a result of uncontrolled high blood pressure. Women are not excluded also. In fact, women after menopause have as much chance of becoming hypertensive as men. Now to her salt intake. I described how cooking salt is not the only risk factor to worry about. Salted foods like peanuts, pickles, among other things can cause hypertension. Then I turned to the young man and said, even though hypertension runs in your family, your lifestyle choice could mean you can never have it at all. And guess what? He's already making bad choices. The most notable being his excessive drinking of wine daily. Heavy alcohol intake leads to high blood pressure.
You are listening to the Dr. Vine Show, the most educative show on the planet.
So what is hypertension? The World Health Organization defines it as a condition in which the blood vessels have continuous raised pressure caused by the blood flowing through them. Each time your heart beats, blood is pumped into the vessels. When the force of the blood pushing against the walls of the blood vessel is increased, hypertension results. The higher the pressure in the blood vessels, the harder the heart has to work in order to pump blood out to the other parts of the body. Blood vessels may eventually rupture after severe increased pressure, which gives rise to internal bleeding. If it occurs in the brain, it can lead to stroke. And when this happens in the blood vessels of the eye, blindness results. A blood pressure consists of two readings, the upper systolic and the lower diastolic, with a normal blood pressure marked as 120 by 80 mm of mercury, or anywhere less than that according to the 2017 new guidelines. A recording of systolic between 120 to 129 and diastolic less than 80 mm of mercury is categorized as elevated blood pressure. A recording of systolic between 130 to 139 or diastolic between 80 to 89 mm of mercury is categorized as stage 1 hypertension. A recording of systolic between 140 to 180 or diastolic between 90 to 120 mm of mercury is categorized as stage 2 hypertension. A recording of systolic over 180 and or diastolic over 120 mm of mercury is categorized as hypertensive crisis. With these facts in mind, what are the things that can contribute to the development of high blood pressure? According to the World Health Organization, genetic factors play a major role. Besides that, drinking harmful levels of alcohol and consumption of food containing excess salt, like earlier discussed, are major players in the hypertension game. Salt intake as high as 9 grams per day, which is equivalent to 1 full teaspoon in your rice for lunch and close to 1.5 teaspoon in your curry for dinner, is a step towards hypertension. Saturated fat intake is another cause of hypertension. Unhealthy diet, obesity, lack of exercise and physical inactivity, poor stress management, smoking, and tobacco use are some of the other causes of high blood pressure. Some drugs too can cause high blood pressure. Drugs like oral contraceptives, ecstasy, amphetamines, paracetamol, ibuprofen, cocaine, and few antidepressants when overused can lead to this. A hypertension in which the cause is unknown is labeled as primary hypertension. When the cause is known, for example, hypertension caused by kidney disease, adrenal disease, thyroid disease, and hormone abnormalities, it is labeled as secondary hypertension. Some people develop hypertension when in a hospital, which returns back to normal when they get back home. This is labeled as white coat hypertension. The anxiety of being in a hospital or the fear of your possible diagnosis contributes to your blood pressure levels spiking. Less common types include malignant hypertension and resistant hypertension, among others. High blood pressure has been called the silent killer. This is because most people have no symptoms at all. Sometimes hypertension can present as headache, difficulty in breathing, dizziness, chest pain, hearing your own heartbeat, or pounding sensations from the heart. Nosebleeds can as well be recorded in some cases. It is dangerous to ignore these symptoms, but none can be relied upon as a confirmed evidence of hypertension. So regularly checking your blood pressure at home with digital blood pressure machines and at medical centers is a must. I must add that your blood pressure fluctuates throughout the day. It is low when you sleep and rises when you wake up. It can also shoot up when you are nervous, excited, or active like running or exercising. Because of this, readings are taken 3 or more times in a day at various intervals.
You are listening to the Dr. Vine Show, the most educative show on the planet.
Don't forget we have with us here a hypertension expert and cardiologist, Dr. Jesu Krupa, who will consult with us on this topic of hypertension. Dr. Jesu is a cardiologist at ETCM Hospital, Kola, a multi-specialist hospital that caters for the low, middle class and semi-urban population located near the megacity of Bangalore, South India.
Consult. The best views from the very best specialists.
Welcome, Dr. Jesu.
Thank you, Dr. Vine, for having me.
My questions to you, Dr. Jesu. As an expert in managing cases of hypertension, do you see the battle against hypertension being won or lost in our modern world? Are we having more cases being diagnosed and properly managed?
as a cardiologist working in a primary care facility in South India.